Hey, this is C&D Channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for UFC 172, Jones versus Teixeira, which happens on April 26th. Overall, I do like this card. The main card's actually pretty strong. The top three fights I like: Rockhold, Boetsch, Davis versus Rumble Johnson, Jones versus Teixeira. And actually, I like Miller versus Medeiros. I think it'll be a fun fight. And Fili versus Holloway, I think that'll be a fun fight as well. And the prelims, you got like Gomi's fighting, Benavidez is fighting. I got a good women's fight actually, Boetsch Correia versus Jessamyn. The return of Wagner Roca, but you did have the debut of Joe Ellenberger. Prelims, you got Danny Castillo versus Brenneman, recognizable names at least. Beal makes his official UFC debut, fought in The Ultimate Fighter, and same with Patrick Williams. But yeah, so I actually think it's a good card. I think the main event, or the main card too, looks like it has a recipe for fun fights. So yeah, let's get started. Jon Jones fights Glover Teixeira. Well, Jon Jones, 19-1 record, 9 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. He's 26 years old on a 10-fight win streak. Training out of Jackson Winklejohn. He is a UFC light heavyweight champion. He has the longest reach in the UFC. And he uses it really well. He has a good use of distance. Some unorthodox stand-up. You go for spinning strikes. Spinning elbows, really good. He has really strong elbows and good kicks. His wrestling, he has strong Greco-Roman wrestling, some really good ground and pound, and a lot of his submission finishes are by choke. Glover Teixeira, 22-2 record, 13 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. He's on a 20-fight win streak, training out of Nova União and Huas Valetudo. Along with, he trains with, Hackelman also, and I believe he trains in ATT. So there's not actually just one place he trains. He's really well-rounded, and I'd actually argue he's pretty much one of the most well-rounded, if not the most well-rounded light heavyweight out there. That's not to say he's the best at every phase of the game. It's just that he's good to great in just about every phase of the game, He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. His inside box, he has good inside boxing, heavy hands. He is a good wrestler. And when he's on the ground, he's a really good guard passer as well. So this is for the light heavyweight title. One thing about Glover Teixeira, and it showed in the Bader fight, his defense isn't the greatest. Jon Jones, for all his skills being touted, you saw the Gustafsson fight, but I think he, and I have to agree with this, with a lot of people are saying, and it really showed in the Gustafsson fight, that he's a good kickboxer that seems great because of his reach, because of his long reach, in a sense. Because on a technical level, he isn't that great, actually. I read some criticisms, and I think they're right. He doesn't even kick correctly. He kicks with his toe, a lot of times he's hitting with his feet or toes. They're saying that, yeah, he can easily break his feet or his toes with the way he kicks. I believe he usually hits at the end of the foot. Or with the foot. He uses a jab really well, but a lot of his defense, consists of reaching his hand out. And you've actually seen against Rampage and whatnot that he can eye poke people that way. But you see it a lot in his fights. He'll just kind of stick his hand out, so it's you can't touch me type of deal. But otherwise, defensively, he doesn't have many other defensive tools besides just fighting long. It's not, it's not the worst thing, because he's pretty much outstruck just about every opponent he's fought. save for me, if you want to argue Gustafsson, save for him. But yeah, on a technical level, I wouldn't say Jon Jones' stand-up is great. I think it's good, but it's definitely accentuated by his reach, which he uses really well. I mean, that's a skill in itself. So, it seems like I'm putting him down. And the fact of the matter is I have him winning anyways. In the stand-up, I think Glover Teixeira will have a hard time getting in. If he does get in and just maybe he takes a brawler mentality and it's like, okay, I'm going to take 3 to give him 1. It'd be really interesting because he does hit hard and he does fight well on the inside. And if he can get inside, Jones has a really good clinch, really good elbows from the inside as well. I can see him kind of using those tools to counter the inside game. And as far as the wrestling goes, I mean, I got to give it to Jones, I think he'll be able to take down Glover Teixeira and use elbows and punches for ground and pound. He's got to watch his arms. He always has the same problem. He leaves his arms out to get armbarred. It almost cost him against Vitor Belfort. I remember seeing it against Vera and Joe Rogan more or less screaming for Vera to go for an armbar. Man, he's definitely got to watch out for that. He's definitely a guy that can really rely on his physical tools at the expense of good technique. I kind of see that a lot with Jon Jones. Once again, it seems like I'm criticizing them. I kind of am. Excuse me if I am. I think a win nonetheless. But it's something to actually think about too, because you never know if his next opponent is the guy that will be able to exploit that at the same time. But yeah, nonetheless, I think Jon Jones wins this in pretty much all phases of the game. I think he can get his wrestling game going. I think he'll use his reach and make it hard for Glover to come in. One of the only X factors really is what's Jones' performance going to be like after that war against Alexander Gustafsson. And even then, I don't think it's a big thing anyways. But yeah, Jon Jones for the win there. Next fight after that, Phil Davis fights the returning Anthony Rumble Johnson. Okay, Anthony Johnson has a 16-4 record, 11 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by decision. He also has 3 losses by submission. He's 30 years old on a 6-fight win streak, training at the Blackzonians. This guy's got some heavy hands and feet, one-punch knockout power. Even this guy used to fight at welterweight, and he's fought as low as welterweight and as high as heavyweight, and is still shown to have heavy hands and one-punch knockout power. He has some good kickboxing and some especially strong kicks in general, especially his head kick. He is a good wrestler, but he is a bit weak off his back from what I've seen. Phil Davis, 12-1 record with 1 no contest, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. He's 29 years old on a 3-fight win streak, training out of Alliance. He has some strong wrestling and some good top control. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually pretty solid as well. He really likes his Darce choke. Stand-up, it's kind of average. I kind of feel that knowing how Alliance is fighting these days, and a lot of Alliance guys, whether it's Miles Jury, Gustafsson, Dominic Cruz, who else fights like that? Seth Baczynski was showing it. A lot of the Alliance guys are really utilizing just a lot of movement. Even if the footwork isn't that great, they just utilize a lot of movement to avoid hits and whatnot. I can see Phil Davis. I kind of saw that in the Machida fight. He's using a lot of movement. And it's almost in a sense, because in the Machida fight, it's something I saw. It's the illusion of staying busy. I can definitely see that in this fight as well, as far as the stand-up phase goes for Phil Davis. But I can actually see Phil Davis utilize his wrestling more and take the fight to the ground. I mean, Anthony Johnson is a strong wrestler himself, but it's not like he hasn't been taken down before. You know, I remember Koscheck, for example, was able to take him down and whatnot. So yeah, I think Phil Davis will probably utilize his wrestling a lot in this fight, and in the stand-up, I can see him utilizing a good amount of movement, set up his strikes, and to actually just set up his wrestling. So I'll go with Phil Davis to win this one. Next fight, that Tim Boetsch fights Luke Rockhold. Well, Tim Boetsch, 17-6 record, 7 wins by KO TKO, 5 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO TKO. He's 33 years old. Training out of AMC Pankration. Another notable fighter that trains out there would be flyweight champion Demetrius Johnson. It's under Matt Hume. He is big for 185. He wasn't even a small 205er. That was a funny thing. He has some good stand-up. He's a good wrestler. He has a good dirty boxing game. He saw it against Okami. He just kind of tied his arm up behind him and started uppercutting him in the face. And he actually utilizes redneck judo as well. Luke Rockhold, 11-2 record, 3 wins by KO TKO, 6 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO TKO. He's 29 years old, training out of AKA. He's real tall, lanky, big for the weight class himself. Tall too, you know. Strong kickboxer. He has really good kicks. Actually knocked out Castillo with a liver kick and follow-up punches. He has some strong takedown defense too. You can see it in the Tim Kennedy fight and the Jacare fight. It's really hard to take down, and he's hard to keep down too. He's good at getting back to his feet when he's taken down. I don't think Rockhold will need to utilize any offensive wrestling in this fight. I think he can win the fight in the stand-up and defend any takedowns that Boetsch tries to utilize on him. I can see Boetsch trying to really force the clinch on Rockhold. I can see actually Rockhold using his kicks especially to keep distance. I also don't think Boetsch should have won against CB Holloway in his last fight. But nonetheless, yeah, I gotta go with Luke Rockhold to win this one. I think he'll be able to utilize a stand-up to maintain distance, and I think he'll be able to defend the takedowns and just utilize good counter wrestling against Tim Boetsch. Okay, next fight after that, Yancy Medeiros fights Jim Miller. It was originally supposed to be Bobby Green who was supposed to fight Jim Miller, and then Yancy Medeiros. Actually, on the undercard was supposed to fight Joe Ellenberger. Green had to pull out due to injury. Yancy Medeiros filled in the spot, and Wagner Rocha is now fighting Joe Ellenberger on the prelims. I still think it's actually still a pretty good fight. Yancy Medeiros is definitely he's definitely something of a dark horse prospect in the division. 9-1 record with 1 no contest, 6 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub. He's only 26 years old. He's got some good stand-up, uses combinations well. I remember when he fought Hobby Love too. He was actually kind of hard to take down for a while until Hobby Love managed to get one of his trademark slams, and then Medeiros dislocated his thumb. Jim Miller, 23-4 record with 1 no contest, 3 wins by KO TKO, 13 wins by sub. He's 30 years old, training out of AMA. Other guys that train out there besides the Millers would be like Charlie Brenneman. There's a couple others that I can't remember at the time. One of the most well-rounded fighters out there. He's really tough and gritty. He's just a hard guy to put away. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt with good, solid stand-up. Nothing great, you know, just real technical, you know. Good cardio, very workman-like fighter, and he's a good wrestler as well. I think just the overall well-roundedness of Jim Miller is going to win this one, though. Like I said, I like Yancy Medeiros. I think he's a good prospect. Could give Miller some fits in the stand-up as well. I mean, I remember Yancy Medeiros fighting Eve Edwards, knocked him out with an uppercut, you know, but it was in a combination, you know. It was just a really nice uppercut. Got turned to a no contest because he was smoking weed. It's kind kind of funny. Jim Miller, when he lost against Pat Healy, got turned to a no contest because Pat Healy was smoking weed. But nonetheless, going off a tangent there. Nonetheless, I think Jim Miller is going to win this one. Just a little more well-rounded. I think he can utilize his wrestling if need be. So yeah, Jim Miller for the win there. Next fight after that, Fili fights Max Holloway. This one's actually really hard for me to call. You know, Fili, 13-1 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's 23 years old on a 9-fight win streak, training at a Team Alpha Male. I remember watching him in the Jeremy Larson fight. Really aggressive guy. He's got some good stand-up. Showed some really good knees. Attacked in combination. He's put on his back. He was really active on his back. Went for triangles. Actually managed to sweep the guy. Well, he managed to get back to his feet using a nice sweeping technique. But yeah, where was I? But the other thing about the Larson fight that was a bit, discerning about Touchy Fili is that his stand-up defense was a bit questionable. You know, I mean, the guy was getting tagged a couple of times. You know, and Jeremy Larson, you know, I mean, he's not exactly a world beater by any stretch. You know. Max Holloway, 8-3 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by decision. He's 22 years old, training out of Gracie Technics. Another guy that trains out of there would be Dustin Kimura. He's real tall and lanky with good kickboxing. He uses body punches, and his takedown defense has actually proven to be pretty solid as well. This one's actually hard for me to call. Like I said, I like Max Holloway's kickboxing. He has really good composure, you know, for a guy that's still pretty young. Wouldn't be surprised if he's able to hit Fili clean and often. I don't know if he'll be able to defend takedowns from Fili or not. But one thing about Fili is that he is really aggressive. He's always putting the pressure on. And he does have good stand-up nonetheless. It's just, it makes it really hard. And Fili trains at the better camp too. So, I'm going to go with Touchy Fili to beat Max Blessed Holloway for this one. But, you know, honestly, it's not a pick I'm super confident in. Okay, on to the prelims. As we'll be on Fox Sports 1, we have Joseph Benavidez versus Timothy Elliott. Tim Elliott, 10-4 record with 1 draw, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. He's 27 years old. He's actually a good wrestler with some really good ground and pound. You saw that again in the Luis Gaudino fight. It is a really unorthodox stand-up. You know, he goes for some like spinning strikes and whatnot. It's not great stand-up at all, though. I mean, on a technical level, it's not very good stand-up wise. But he will go for a lot of unorthodox stuff. Joseph Benavidez, 19-4 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 8 wins by sub. He's 29 years old, training out of Team Alpha Male. He's a strong wrestler. He has really good ground and pound. Strong in the scramble as well. He does have good stand-up. Ludwig's really been helping him. I don't know if I think Ludwig's still helping him. So I know Ludwig's gonna leave the head coaching position soon for Alpha Male. And of course, just like most guys in Alpha Male, he has that really strong guillotine. I gotta go Joseph Benavidez to win this one. Elliott's strength from what I've seen is like forward pressure. He is a good wrestler. Always, he's kind of tireless, but it's nothing that Joseph Benavidez, I think, hasn't handled before. I think he's probably better in the stand-up. Arguably the better wrestler as well. So, yeah, I got to go Joseph Benavidez to win that one. Next fight, I thought Takanori Gomi fights Isaac Vallie-Flagg. Well, Takanori Gomi, 34-9 record with 1 no contest. 13 wins by KO TKO, 6 wins by sub. He also has 6 losses by submission. He's 35 years old. One thing about him, though, he last fought in March 2013. In a fight many people he got robbed against Diego Sanchez, me included. He's got some heavy hands, one-punch KO power, something of a brawler. He has good takedown defense and a really strong chin. Isaac Vallie-Flagg, 14-4 record with 1 draw, 5 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by submission. He's 36 years old, training out of Jackson Winklejohn. Doesn't do anything great. The thing about Isaac Vallie-Flagg, hold on, is that he's really aggressive and pushes forward. His stand-up isn't great by any means. It's good enough. He'll definitely take a couple. He has a good chin, too, which works with his style. He'll definitely take a couple to give a couple if he needs to. But the thing is, though, his style fits with Gomi's style, because Gomi's willing to take a couple to give some as well. And if you push forward on Gomi, he hits really hard. That's the thing. And if you're the type of guy that's willing to take punches, like Isaac Vallie-Flagg kind of is, because he's always just moving forward, a lot of times in a straight line. It's not like lateral movement or anything. I think that actually fits more into Gomi's wheelhouse. So, yeah, especially if this is a stand-up battle, I think Isaac Vallie-Flagg's forward aggression is actually going to work against him, against a guy like Gomi. Yeah, I got to go Takanori Gomi to win that one. Next fight after that, Boetsch Pitbull Correia fights Jessamyn the Gun Duke. Well, Duke has a 3-0 record with 1 no contest, so she's undefeated. 1 win by TKO, 1 win by submission. She's 27 years old. She's tall for 135. She's 5'11", which is really tall for the weight class, as opposed to Boetsch Correia, who's 5'4". She's got some good Muay Thai, some really good knees. Her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu solid, and she's good off her back. I believe she's one of the four horsewomen now, along with Ronda Rousey, Marina Shafir, and Shayna Baszler. I believe all 4 of them train together now. If I'm not mistaken, they may even live together. I'm not too sure. And yeah, so they got a pretty good camp going on over there. Boetsch Correia, 7-0 undefeated record with 1 win by TKO, 6 wins by decision. She's 30 years old. Like I said, she's 5'4", as opposed to Jessamyn Duke's 5'11". Her stand-up's improving. You got to see that in the Judy Kedzie fight. I was really impressed, especially with her left hook. And she trains out of Pitbull Brothers as well, with Patricio and Patricky Pitbull Freire. That's why she has a Pitbull nickname. Nonetheless, I gotta go Jessamyn Duke to win this one. Like I said, she's a really tall fighter. I think she'll be able to get her knees if she gets inside. If she's put on her back, she'll go for arm bar. She beat Marsha Allen with the arm bar. She got into the house on the Ultimate Fighter with a triangle choke. She still makes some rookie mistakes. You saw it against Peggy Morgan. She went for a judo throw and just pretty much gave up her back. It was not really... Yeah, it's still a very rookie of her. But otherwise, I think she beats Correia in the stand-up, especially with her reach. She's actually shown some pretty good ground and pound as well. So yeah, Jessamyn the Gun Duke for the win there. Okay, next fight after that, Joe Ellenberger fights Wagner Roca. Wagner Roca, 11-3 record, 1 win by TKO, 8 wins by sub. He's 31 years old on a 4-fight win streak. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. It's his second stint in the UFC, and he's taking this fight on short notice. Honestly, there's not much I can say about Roca except that he has really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he's not a strong wrestler, and his stand-up isn't that great either. Joe Ellenberger, 14-1 record, 8 wins by KO TKO, 4 wins by sub. He's 29 years old on a 2-fight win streak. One thing is, though, he last fought Joe Wilk in December 2012, so he's going to have a pretty long layoff. It is also his first fight in the UFC. I managed to see one of his fights. It was in Titan FC. He showed some really good wrestling, decent ground and pound in that fight. Stand-up was alright. It looks like he was, from what I saw, he was more resigned to counter-strike than anything else. He doesn't seem to have that same stand-up acumen that his brother Jake has, who throws in combination and whatnot. But I don't know how much he's improved since then. So, you know, this is all just speculation, really. I mean, I can only go with what I've seen from Joe Ellenberger. I got Joe Ellenberger winning this one. You know, like I said, he's a good wrestler. Roca, like I said, the only thing that's really notable about him is his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. Otherwise, you know, I don't know if he can take the fight to the ground. I don't know if he can outstrike Joe Ellenberger. So, yeah, Joe Ellenberger for the win there. And for the Fight Pass prelims, we got Charlie Brenneman versus Danny Castillo. Brenneman has a 19-6 record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. Has 3 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. He's 33 years old, training out of AMA. He's a good wrestler with good top control, but his stand-up defense is not that great. Knocked out by Kyle Noak, Rumble Johnson knocked him out, and Vanille Darius managed to knock him down and choke him out. Danny Castillo, 16-6 record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. He's 34 years old, training out of Team Alpha Male. He's a good wrestler with good top control, solid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills as well. Stand-up's average, but you know what's funny with him is he's actually managed to drop a good amount of opponents. He just dropped Edson Barboza and Michael Johnson. It's not the greatest stand-up, but it's really effective for him. I think it's better than Charlie Brenneman's. So with that said, yeah, I got to go Danny Castillo to win that one. And finally, Chris Beal fights Patrick Williams. Williams has a 7-3 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. He's 32 years old on a 2-fight win streak. With his first fight in the UFC. Chris Beal, 8-0 undefeated record, 2 wins by TKO, 6 wins by decision. It's his first fight in the UFC. From what I remember in the show, he was a good boxer. I didn't remember much else from him, though. Except that he got choked out by Chris Holdsworth. And also got outboxed by Chris Holdsworth. Nonetheless, I'll go Chris Beal to win that one. Okay, to recap the main card of Jon Jones beating Glover Teixeira, Phil Davis over Anthony Rumble Johnson, Luke Rockhold beating Tim Boetsch, Jim Miller over Yancy Medeiros, and Andre Fili beating Max Blessed Holloway. And the Fox Sports 1 prelims, I got Joseph Benavidez over Tim Elliott, Takanori Gomi beating Isaac Vallie-Flagg, Jessamyn the Gun Duke beating Boetsch Pitbull Correia, and Joe Ellenberger over Wagner Roca. On the Fight Pass prelims, I got Danny Castillo beating Charlie Brenneman and Chris Beal over Patrick Williams. So that's it for my predictions for UFC 172, Jones versus Teixeira. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for You. Thank you guys very much.